Hello, good evening, good afternoon. It's me, Chrisandra, of course, and yeah, as the title says, the title intimates, this is going to be like a real deep dive into my kind of attitudes when it comes to this beloved club right here, Spurs, um, because I'm definitely not like other Spurs fans, and especially when it comes to the attitude of top four, comes to the attitude of Arsenal, it comes to the attitude of the league over Europe, this, that, and the other. I am completely and totally different. Just so you know where I am coming from in that kind of aspect. It's your progress to lay it out all bare and explain how and why I got there and how and why I won't be changing back to that whole kind of what I see as a kind of a toxic kind of way of support of expressing support for the club. And it all kind of sparked from this Spurs group chat that I'm on WhatsApp, where there's one particular, I guess the guy must be in his early or mid 20s, and it was literally this is coming after that poor performance against Burnley, and a series of poor performances, and he literally just goes straight into one about oh my God, Arsenal lost to Manchester United. Wow, are they going to bottle the title again? Oh my God. I wish for us to lose to Manchester City, so we can help Manchester City win the title. And I was absolutely aghast at that. And maybe it's just a generational thing. Maybe I'm not weird. Maybe it's just how I am my generation. But obviously, I'm in my 40s now, and I just thought that was absolutely despicable. But it kind of stems back to the last time we played Manchester City a couple of years ago under Ange, and what I saw as a large number of the Spurs fan base wanting us to lose to stop Arsenal from winning. In the end, we ended up losing. We should have probably drawn at least, or should have beaten them. It is what it is. But here we go. So this story goes back to early 2002. I mean, I kind of like at this point, I was kind of like, for like most Spurs fans, kind of like Spurs, loving Spurs and hating Arsenal was on the equal footing. Literally, every little thing was just Arsenal this, Arsenal that, and yeah, that was my kind of my thought process at the time. That is a case of you can't be a Spurs fan unless you hate Arsenal in equal measure. More for me. At that point, I was still trying to get go to see football games more independently from family and whatnot, and from friends, and just kind of like I didn't have a season ticket at the time, and I was just going to games here and there as much as I can. At this point, I also joined a football kind of like I didn't actually know it was a social media site. I mean, at this point, I had MySpace. I was literally the extent of my social media contributions there, and there's a group called Sunday League Chat, which I don't know if you know about. You might have heard of it. I don't know. And for the first couple of years, this was around about 2002, 2003. I just spent my time in that group as much as I can, building because basically it's what I didn't actually know there was a chat section, although it includes in the name, but I actually know the social media aspect and also a game aspect. The game aspect is what I was actually involved in, where you're basically in charge of a pub team and a digital pub team, so kind of like Football Manager, but yeah, and I was kicking ass there. I mean, you had to get a team from the bottom, I think Division 12, work it all the way up. By the time I got to 2005, I was working my way up to Division 9 and doing quite well, and challenging all comers, and doing my best. Against the really, really top teams, obviously I was kind of fine wanted, but not by much. I mean, I was kind of like edged out by 1 or 2 goals. But I was doing very well, and then I decided I saw the chat button, the forum button, at the top, and on this occasion, this was middle of 2005, so I thought I'd just click it, and so I clicked it, went in, and you can imagine it was just pretty much fans from all over the place. I didn't actually know there were different Sunday League chat servers. So you had the Spurs, you had the Arsenal, this, that, and the other. Obviously, I'd join on the Spurs because naturally I would. And then, so I just kind of like got involved in that. Just kind of like observing it eventually. And then I decided to, I think about a week or so later, I decided to then write my bit. And I never forget, just kind of talking about how good Spurs did on that particular day. I can't remember fully. An Arsenal fan and one that kind of like ruled the roost in Sunday chat called Amber, kind of like made a comment, just kind of like a bit of banter. I mean, but I was kind of like, back in the day, when I say I hated Arsenal almost as much as I hate Chelsea now. Or I hated Chelsea back then with a passion, and Arsenal were a very, very close second. Chelsea, for obvious reasons, because doesn't matter how many players they plough from Africa, and how many all black teams they put out, they'll always be a racist piece of shit club, as far as I'm concerned. A disgusting racist club that deserves to be wiped off the face of the planet. I don't care. I hate them. But Arsenal were a close second, obviously, because of rivalry. And she just kind of like commented, just in innocent bit of banter, as it were. And I just switched on her, just kind of like I kind of abused their team, abused the atmosphere at the stadium, and saying that probably you contributed to the lack of atmosphere because you were probably barely go to games. And I just kind of went at her, and then I just left it at that. She then came back. I think she spoke to somebody else, and then alluded to me, where I said that my name was Othello on Sunday League Chatty. That was my name then. It seems it's weird that Othello seems to think he knows me. I haven't missed a game since 1986, and I wasn't having it. But I kind of softened, as the weeks went on. Eventually, a couple of months. I mean, I was kind of like holding out, because she talked very well and she knowledgeable about football, and I kind of appreciated that because I like to talk about footballist things and all that sort of thing, just like having an intelligent discussion instead of just the whole all that that rubbish crap. So I kind of did that. I just kind of like it took her a while, I think, to trust me because of that outburst I did, but each time she had a good point, and somebody else was just going on at her just because she was Arsenal. I then leapt in and defended her because it was she made a good point, A, B, C, and D, and also this because this is why E, F, G, and H happened. So eventually, after a while, we became very, very friendly. As online friendly as you can get. Still kind of like just bantering. I mean, I learned to mellow out a little bit and just kind of like dealt with the banter. It was about a year or so later, I think it's on those lines, when it came up to the North London derby time, and I was I don't get overly excited with North London derbies, but even back then probably even less so, because we were not in a good place at the time, although we were up and coming, and yeah, so we were just kind of discussing it, and I just kind of made a comment to her on the lines of, I know you see us as the annoying cousins, but blah blah blah. And from there, she just said, "No, we don't see you as annoying cousins. We see you as a shit stain that doesn't go away. We just see you as a yapping dog that just won't take no for an answer." And I thought that was kind of funny, but at the same time, I just kind of thought this was rivalry talk. I can't remember how that game played out, but 2007, I'm guessing we probably lost. A few months down the line, I think we're about to play them again, and I was kind of like doing the bantering thing, the banter stuff with her, and she was kind of like coming back, but not really into it. And somebody kind of commented saying that, oh no, it was me that commented this, something along the lines of, we may be your rivals, but it's going to be a good game. And she just said something along the lines of, no, you are not our rivals. I don't know why you think of yourself as our rivals. We see Manchester United as a bigger game than you. You are just the team from down the road who we just have to beat in order to win trophies. And that did take me aback. I thought it was kind of clever. At the same time, it did take me aback. And I thought, yeah, she's right. We're not rivals. Arsenal at this point were always challenging for stuff, always at the top, always there, always, at the top, challenging for titles and this and the other. Well, what were we doing? Trying to stay above mid-table, trying to get into 6th place. That's what we were doing at the time. We weren't rivals. So I heard that, and then I took a step back, and then I kind of thought, oh yeah, we're not rivals, really. We're just neighbours. And that was kind of my mindset ever since. Obviously, I think of my Spurs' rivalry with Chelsea. That was the big rivalry in the area before Arsenal moved in, and then obviously because of geographical location, that's when Arsenal took over. But for me, as I've already alluded to, Chelsea will always be the hatred for me, just on the humanitarian humanitarian basis. So that's kind of the mood. That's kind of the attitude that I took from that, and the hatred towards Arsenal, which I kind of felt myself was kind of put on anyway. I never really felt any real hatred towards them. Rivalry, yes, but even then that's kind of like tempered. It just kind of disappeared to just basically a rivalry in my head, and this is where I'm kind of coming from, because then from 2008 we win the cup, and then 9 and 10. This is when Harry Redknapp then comes in, and we then get 4th place. Obviously, win 4th place. I mean, it all kind of ties in. We then get 4th place, and that was kind of. I was in that kind of bubble as well, where it was like, let's get 4th place, and let's get 4th place, because we missed out a couple of times with Martin Jol, especially famously a couple of years before, where we lost out to Arsenal, and I think we drew both games that season. But then we got 4th, and then we had the whole issue with the following season, where this is where I get the absolute annoyance with fans who just want to get Harry Redknapp back. That season where we were up there challenging, people just look at it and say we weren't challenging for the title. We were up there, I think, 2nd and 3rd for the most part, and then we just slumped in December, January. And then we went a good couple of months without winning a game. Come March time, we then pick up again, and we rallied, and we finished 5th. Got as far as the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The following season, we then obviously we finished 4th again, but this was after getting 2nd and 3rd up to December, then slumping. That draw with Hull, when a win would have put us to within a point of the leaders. I'll always remember that. And then we just slumped, and then during that time, Redknapp was going and trying to get the England job. And that's what the Spurs fans hold on to. Is what the fans like, oh, you're just mad at Redknapp because he tried to get England. No. You're just mad because you took his eye off the ball. No. That people who say that are stupid. They really are, because if you heard what I just said, what happened this season happened the previous season as well. We slumped, even to the point where I think it was the Sun. Sorry for mentioning that horrid newspaper. I think the Sun said this was Tottenham, Spurs' seasonal mid-season slump. They even now making it out like Spurs do this all the time, just so they don't hurt their main man Redknapp. Just so they don't hurt him. But it's not a traditional mid-season slump, because it didn't happen before. We didn't have that slump in December to March before Redknapp, so it only happened under Redknapp, and it didn't happen because Redknapp took us off the ball because he was going out to the England game, because it happened the season before. You see what I'm saying? This is where I stuck away from Spurs fans as well. So it all kind of ties in why I am not like other Spurs fans, because they'll try and excuse that. And there was no excuse. We had no reason to slump the way we did. And so there we go. We then rallied and we finished 4th. I was annoyed about that, because I thought it was a real chance from trying to push on from the 2 seasons before, and I thought we could. But I know people are trying to try and say that we wanted certain players, but we brought in Ryan Nelson and Louis Saha instead. Just by the by, good manager works with the tools he's given, and then makes a case for asking for more expensive players. He obviously couldn't do that. No less because he technically was well off. Pretty football aside, technically was well off. During that time, only relied on a certain pool of players, and then obviously he wasn't against trying to court another job anyway. So, but if he had gone for the England job, well, good luck to him. I wouldn't have minded, but it's because it was that tactically awful those 2 seasons. That's why I wanted him gone. Nothing to do with England, nothing to do with taking us off the ball. Load of bollocks. And Spurs fans like to try and to try and excuse that. They do, and I have no idea why. And now they're calling for Redknapp back. He's in his 80s anyway. He's not going to come back. So that season where we did finish 4th, and it was the last home game of the campaign, and they're about to do the lap of honour. And I said to my mate Jill to my left, and I said, "I'm not going to watch this. I'm pissed off. I'm gone. I'm going down to the pub." And she kind of stopped. It was in the mid clapping, a big grin on her face, mid clap, and then she kind of looked at me and was like astounded. I was like, "But we finished 4th." That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying to make right there. That's the point I'm trying to make right there. This is why I'm not like any other Spurs fan. The pure joy that Spurs fans had for finishing 4th celebrated harder than the team that finished 1st. And I can't remember who finished 1st. I think it was in 2012. Was that Manchester City that finished when they won the league? Well, that bought the league, as we later know. And so this is, like I said, I know I'm probably annoying a lot of Spurs fans right now because they'll look at it and say, "Well, you have no ambition. 4th is ambitious," and that's fine. You do you. I'll do me. Where I say 4th place. What the hell? It's all fine and good when people were saying this team are not good enough to get into the Champions League. We've been getting the Champions League. We've been doing that, and I wanted us to kick on. And that season, I lay down in the manager's feet. We didn't kick on. That was not a kicking on. Just boring off every tournament. I mean, we did not even take the UEFA Cup at the time seriously because we were trying to get 4th spot. It was crazy. But there we go. So I wanted Redknapp gone at that point. He only got fired because of how he was trying to court the England job, and then when he didn't get the England job, I think for Sam Allardyce guy, I can't remember. He then demands a new contract. That is the man right there. Anyway, so he's gone, and we got Sherwood, and then we got Pochettino. And the reason, and this is another thing, and the reason why I took to Pochettino so much, going into that campaign, is because he talked about. He might not have won honours as a manager, but he won honours as a player, and he talked a lot about trying to about winning the title. I mean, before that we had AVB, Andres Villas-Boas, who talks about us winning the title, and that's why I took to him so hard as well. And he's showing what he can do showed what he can do in Russia, and I think in other places, and in Portugal, notably, that's where Chelsea got him. But the fact he wasn't given a chance because he wasn't up there in 4th place. He was trying to build a team that could challenge, and he wasn't given the opportunity. And Spurs fans were so happy that he had gone. And I was absolutely miserable because of that. Absolutely miserable because of that. Because, he got my hopes about challenging for the title. That's what I wanted to see Spurs do. I wanted to see Spurs at least challenge for the title. And then Pochettino comes in, and then he does that. So Pochettino comes in, and then he does that. He gets us challenging. We finished. The season that we got, I think we got to 4th, and then Was it fourth? The fifth? I can't remember if it was the first season. It was like, and then we got us challenging for the title. I mean, at this point, this season, this is when Leicester were challenging. Gets us up to I think up to at least fourth. I think Arsenal were top of the league going into the turn of the year, and I think they lost to. I can't remember who they lost to, but they lost quite badly. And then Leicester took over, and then we took over, and then we came up into third, and then second. And there's another reason why I'm not like other Spurs fans, because while we were up there challenging for the title, and I was thinking, we could actually win the title here. No other Spurs fan was feeling it. No other Spurs fan was doing that. Every other Spurs fan was looking behind them and putting out their stupid mind the gap shit to Arsenal fans. We had a chance here to win the title. We had a chance here to put, but it seemed even in the Facebook group that we had then, there was this rather annoying Spurs fan whose literally every post was whinging and complaining about, oh my God, how you'll be mortified if we missed out on Champions League, and mortified if Arsenal finished above us. And all the time, Leicester were ahead of us by a couple of points, and we were challenging for the title. Well, he was more focused, and like most Spurs fans as well, more focused on Arsenal falling down at those points, and he was more focused on that. Even on Facebook, when I put out a status, I think, saying Leicester City, we're coming for you on those lines, it's just being very derogatory to Leicester, just like, football threats to them. And this guy, I sort of know him, Darren, that's his name, in the West Midlands, rebuked me for that. He rebuked me by saying, why are you focused on Leicester? Focus on Spurs. Spurs is your team. Why are you talking about Leicester non-stop? This is absolutely absurd. You're meant to be a Spurs fan. Focus on Spurs. Okay. And literally a day after that, he puts out a status, a big picture saying, mind the gap. Mind the gap. He just rebuked me for talking about going, in a title race. He rebuked me for going at Leicester, and he's there talking about Arsenal. He's talking about Arsenal. You know what I mean? Absolutely fucking pathetic. This is what me, and this is like most of the fan base right there. This is what I can't get. This is what I don't want to get. This is why I say I'm not like other Spurs fans, because I am extremely focused on Spurs. Extremely focused on Spurs. Like I said, when I started off, man, it was a done thing. You're a Spurs fan, you hate Arsenal. When it came to Spurs, we had a chance of doing something that I hadn't seen us do ever, and some of the Spurs fans hadn't seen us do at that point for 30 years. 30 years? What I'm talking about? Nearly 50 years. Crazy, and that was literally all they could talk about. Mind the gap, Arsenal. Mind the gap. Mind the gap. In the end, we lost out to, even then, it didn't lead up to it. There was about 10 games left, and we're still in a few minutes, a few points away from Leicester. There were Spurs fans on Facebook dishing out congratulatory messages to Leicester. And at the same time, dishing out congratulatory messages to Leicester, also abusing Arsenal. And I just thought, I must be in some kind of weird kind of, I don't know, Tim Burton-esque kind of bullshit here. Some kind of, Kafkaesque is the wrong word to use, but I can't think of anything else. Just so subversively, I don't know. It's just the most annoying. When you're in the room and you're the only person in the room thinking the right way, and everybody else is acting like clowns. You know what I'm saying? And I just could not get my head around any of that crap. I couldn't. I really couldn't. In the end, we lost the title, and it seemed that people then quickly focused on trying to finish above Arsenal, because that's literally all they focused on at that point. No, they even focused on that bit beforehand. And there was more upset and outcry that we lost to Arsenal on the last day. I think we got beaten by Newcastle 5-1. You should have seen the celebrations when it went to 2-0, then we pulled back to 2-1. And I was just there, kind of just watching it. I was at St. James's Park, just watching it. And everybody else was jumping up and dying. And like, come on, yes, we can do it. We can. And then, obviously, I think because somebody saw me and I was just kind of like there watching, and everyone else was just like getting into it. Somebody threw a fork at me because I wasn't joining in with the absolute fuckery that was going on at that point. I wasn't getting involved in that shit. I was just kind of giggling away. Then I went to 3-1 and I just kind of laughed. 4-1, and then I think Sissoko scored as well, didn't he? He was brilliant that game. Then it was 5-1. Lloris had a real nightmare. I said the defence. Newcastle finished bottom of the league, didn't they? But they beat us 5-1. We then finished third. Arsenal went above us, finished second. There was more tears at that than a couple of weeks ago when we lost the title at Chelsea. Can you imagine that? Sorry about that. I had to draw the curtains because I was just getting sunned out there. So I was incredulous, and that was kind of like when I officially kind of broke my my ties with the majority of the Spurs fan base, and I just withdrew myself from a lot of Facebook groups as well because the outcry over us losing second to Arsenal was more heartfelt on their part than losing first to Leicester. The following season, we're challenging Chelsea all the way, and we're finishing second. Again, I went to the last two games, which were at Leicester and then Hull. That was a lovely little road trip. I didn't see my home for about a good 8 days. Stayed in Leicester for for 4 days, and then Hull for 4 days. It was brilliant. I enjoyed it. I went with my my late mate Adrian, which was good. It was good fun. Probably when he kicked me out of the his daughter's dormitory, we stayed there. She was at Leicester University at the time, and so I had to find a hotel quickly for a couple of nights in Leicester. Luckily, there were a few spare. Stayed in the Ibis, if I remember. It was good. It was good trip, and I enjoyed the road trip up to Hull as well. It was good. I loved it. First time in Hull, liked it. And then but then that season, like I said, people were openly celebrating the fact that we finished above Arsenal. Openly celebrating. That was more their thing. Finishing above Arsenal for the first time. I don't know in what was it? I can't remember. 1995 or 6 at that point. I don't know. It just shows how much I care about it. And finishing above Arsenal, I was more upset we lost the title to Chelsea, my arch rivals. I was more upset about that, as everybody else is celebrating. There were street parties throughout Hertfordshire and Essex, wasn't there? Because they finished with Arsenal. It was poor, man. It was poor to see. And then the following season, again. I can't remember when the whole 3 windows thing happened, but we finished. No, this was before the 3 windows thing. We finished third this campaign behind Manchester City and Manchester United. Up there, we weren't really in the title race, but at the same time, still up there. And again, there was more celebration that we finished with Arsenal. And then we. Was that season that we finished 4th, was it? I know that Man City won the league. Man United finished 2nd. And then, got to the Champions League. And, that was all fine and stuff. And that's when the Levy out stuff starts to get into full swing. Because after the Champions League final, we then go 3 winners without a win. I've already talked about my thoughts about how that is not necessarily down to Levy alone, but also down to Pochettino. But then that's another reason why Pochettino has some, people then thinking that Pochettino was being hard done by this and the other when he was part of he was part of it as well. And that's why I've broken away from Spurs fans who feel that, because none of it was really true. None of it was really true. You know, it was partly true, but not all of it was true. And then from then on, we get into the modern day, and this is when it really gets messy. Because it gets really messy at this point because we then lose Pochettino, then come the win now managers. The fact that it's now been kind of thought that I mean that's when I guess that's when the rivalry sort of then gets back on a level footing, because we were ahead of Arsenal at the point, but at this point in time I was still kind of focused. My thought had shifted from playing pretty football to actually becoming a serious football club. And becoming a serious football club that was focused on Spurs winning stuff as opposed to making sure that Arsenal don't win anything. But a lot of Spurs fans, maybe even the newer generation of Spurs fans now, the ones in their teens, the ones in their 20s, who've never seen Arsenal win the league, I guess, all their thoughts are, and they've never seen Sol Campbell play, but that's literally all they think about, Sol Campbell and Arsenal. That's literally all they think about, this newer generation. I know that there's still some in my generation that kind of are obsessed with that. And that is, that's just the nature of it. But at no point are they ever of the thought that, they want to see Spurs better. They just want to make sure that Arsenal are not better than us. And that's literally where I diverge. The North London derby doesn't even hold the same kind of thought for me now, because even back then, walking up to the Emirates, or even Highbury as it was, I think it's more of a jeopardy in Highbury, but at the Emirates, I could walk there in my Spurs shirt. Just walk through, and you get the odd bantery comments from the Arsenal fans, but nothing really bad. But there's a lot of anger from Spurs fans. A lot of anger. An Arsenal fan can't really do that. Well, it's kind of like mellow at now, but in the last couple of years, but before that, they couldn't really do that. They had to come down with a police escort to Spurs, and they'll get the heated treatment. Whereas I could walk down the Emirates and nothing. Just shows how much. Yeah, I mean, there might be bantery, but they don't really view us as rivals. Whereas the hatred only comes from one side, from what I can see, and a lot of Spurs fans will say, "Oh no, the hatred is on both sides." Hatred on both sides. I mean, that's the reason. I mean, if you look at it, the number of people who have, number of Spurs fans who have Arsenal girlfriends, or the number of Spurs fans who have Arsenal boyfriends, and you kind of think, how heated is this rivalry? It's almost the same kind of banter level as Liverpool and Everton to a point. I mean, it's not like it's a massive rivalry like similar to where you won't see a Rangers or a Celtic fan getting on like that, would you? Or a Liverpool or Man United fan getting on like that, although they probably would to a point. You'll see plenty of City and United fans, although because the hatred there is just one way. City fans absolutely hate United fans. United fans see City as more of a fan base to banter with. And that's kind of like how it is with Spurs and Arsenal. They see us more as a team to banter with, whereas we have an undying hatred towards them. And I've kind of weaned myself off it. I really have, because it just takes away a lot of the focus from what Spurs are doing. And the reason why most people are upset with how Spurs are doing now is because Arsenal are top of the league. Arsenal finished top of the Champions League. There was a point, I think, for 4 seasons, or was it 5 or 6 seasons, where Arsenal didn't qualify for the Champions League, and Spurs fans were like cock a hoop about that, like real, oh my god, we are so much better, and we got to as many Champions League finals as they did. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no, I mean that's why it's just so long for me. I mean, the North London derby is coming up, and people are already dreading it. We've got Man City coming up this weekend, and there are certain Spurs fans talking about us throwing the game to allow City to win the title. And I just can't, and I will not get my head around it. I really can't. I just can't do it. And so you kind of think, what? Maybe it is just me. But I just can't understand how anyone And because somebody said this to me before as well, after the previous Man City game a couple of years ago, where we did kind of where people were saying that we should lose to see Arsenal win the title, and I was apoplectic with rage to the point where I didn't go to the game. I didn't sell my ticket either because I didn't want that. I wanted my seat to be empty. I wanted it to be a proper protest towards the fans that were actively cheering for City. And there were some Spurs fans that cheered for City, although my buddy Angela says that it wasn't really, it was just a very strange atmosphere. But there weren't any Spurs fans cheering Man City winning, and those that were cheering in the Spurs end were probably City fans who got tickets. I don't believe that for a second. I believe that they were Spurs fans cheering for City, and that's what disgusts me. Actively wanting your team to lose just so another team won't win a trophy. Wow, it just goes to show where they are in their mindset. And when I was read something angry on my Facebook group about that, I was told, well, you don't understand the rivalry. You are not a Spurs fan. You don't understand the rivalry. And if that's literally what it takes to understand the rivalry, then I am fine with not understanding the rivalry. I'm fine with it. And I'm fine with being the only kind of like Spurs fan out there who does not give a shit about Arsenal. I am fine being the only Spurs fan out there that does not care a jolt about what Arsenal are doing. That I don't even know that Arsenal. I mean, the only reason I know that Arsenal are currently top of the league because Spurs fans tell me. Because they tell me. I mean, we're not up there, so I haven't bothered looking at the table. I just know that we're down near the drop zone. But I haven't bothered looking at the top. I don't need to look at the top. We're not there. I don't give a toss. We're not challenging for the title. I don't need to see who's at the top. I don't really give a toss. People ask me, who do you think is going to win the league? I hope it's City. Or maybe Liverpool. I hope it's City. I don't want to see Arsenal win it. I don't want to see Arsenal. Why do you give a shit? Why do you give a shit? At what point is it going to affect you? The fact you talk about Arsenal more than you talk about Spurs, that is the part that you need to work on. It really is. But, like I said, it's probably why, maybe I am completely, I mean, you probably see it as out of touch. Me, I just probably see it as, I can now sleep at night, sleep at night a lot easier. Not to the point where I'm just kind of like comatose to the point of what Spurs are doing, because that's literally all I focus on. I am annoyed at the position Spurs are currently in, to the point where we're keeping a manager in the hopes that he might change things around. When he does do that, we might be in the Championship. I am alive to that fact. That's literally all I care about. I don't give a toss about whether Arsenal win the league. They've been winning the league before. They've done it. How many times they've won the title? 13 times? They've done it before. What's one more going to... That doesn't affect me. If we were that interested in stopping Arsenal winning the title, seeing as they're so desperate, we would build ourselves up in order to do that. But because people are happy for fourth place, because people just talk about fourth place as if it's the Holy Grail, and the board see that fourth place as a Holy Grail, and that's literally all we're going to go for. We're just going to build a team that's good enough to get us into the top four, and that's literally it. No one is actually actively trying to challenge and get the team into a position to try and win the title. People say that Pochettino punched above his weight. He built a young squad. That's what a young squad is all about. He didn't go out there and spend millions on established players, because established players might not want to do what you want them to do in terms of tactics and whatnot. A young squad can be malleable and can be pressed into positions where they can actually effect the tactics that you want. So he didn't punch above his weight. He built that squad, and that's what we needed to do. I thought there were signs of us doing that on Ange, but that was stopped short because obviously fans complained that we finished 17th. We won a trophy. That's the aim of the game. I could not give two squirts of crap about what position we finished in the league. If we're not winning the title, I don't care. We weren't going to go down. We won a cup, a European trophy, no doubt. But that wasn't enough for certain Spurs fans. They wanted them out, and so they got them out. And here we are. So that's what I'm saying. In terms of the Spurs fan base, I am completely and utterly not in that position whatsoever. But I still love Spurs. That's literally as far as anything goes. Hate Chelsea with a passion, but I love Spurs, man. That's where I am.